15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosu.
You're welcome to Celebration Television News Desk. I'm Nicholas Akosile Water. Here are the news making the headlines. Buhari leaves for London medical holiday today as doctors set for strike. ISIS claims control on Palma, says Mozambique. World leaders calls for international pandemic treaty. Lagos accounts for 12.15% as state debt hit 4.2 trillion naira. Francis Ngannou becomes first African-born UFC heavyweight champion. Please stay with us as we bring you details of the news after the short break. Welcome back. Now the news in full. Buhari leaves for London medical holiday today as doctors set for strike. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors insists on its plan to begin a nationwide strike on Thursday, saying the federal government was not sincere in implementing agreements. The first vice president of VENAD, Dr. Arome Ajejo, who spoke on behalf of the president of the association, Dr. Uyilawa Okwehesui, in Abuja, said government failed to implement an agreement it reached with the doctors at a meeting held 3 weeks ago. The NED first vice president stated this as the Minister of the State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, urged the association to put on hold its planned indefinite strike. He said the planned industrial action was deemed apprehended once negotiation had been opened with the union. But while the federal government was trying to convince the doctors not to go on strike, the presidency said President Muhammadu Buhari will travel to London on today for medical treatment. Recall that NED had on March 18 said that families of frontline doctors who died of COVID-19 had been abandoned by the federal government. The communique of the meeting, attended by over 50 chapters of NED, was signed by its president, Dr. Uyilawa Okwehesui, Secretary General, Dr. Jerry Isogu, and Publicity Secretary, Dr. Dotun Osikoya. Moving forward, Buhari and National Assembly in closed-down meeting over security and vaccine budget. President Muhammadu Buhari meets behind closed doors with the President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawal, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Lawal later told State House correspondents that the meeting discussed issues of serious national concern. Specifically, he said they discussed the issue of coming up with supplementary budget to cater for security and vaccine production. Lawal claims the security situation was gradually improving in the country. Lawal says Nigeria should make resources available for the country's scientists to collaborate with other scientists from across the globe and develop local vaccine for COVID-19. On security challenges, he said the National Assembly will be ensuring approval of funds for the purchase of platforms, weapons, and equipment for security agencies. On the petroleum industry bill, Lawal says a joint committee of the Senate and the House of Representatives had been working hard on the bill. Gbajabiamila reiterated Lawal's position on the PIB. On security, Gbajabiamila noted that the nation's new service chiefs have hit the ground running. In another development, at last, Kogi ready to administer COVID-19 vaccine. The Kogi state government expressed its readiness to start administering the COVID-19 vaccine to residents. The State Commissioner for Health, Saka Haruna, said that Kogi would receive doses of the vaccines today. He noted that residents will be given unhindered access to receive the vaccine. Kogi is the only state yet to start administering the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine to residents 3 weeks after Nigeria began its rollout. The National Primary Health Care Development Agency attributed the delay to two factors: the state's concerns around the contradictory information about the vaccines and the non-repair of its cold chain star. Still coming from around Africa, ISIS claims control on Palma, says Mozambique. The Mozambican armed forces assure that they are fighting to expel the guerrillas from the town of Palma in northern Mozambique. The village fell into the hands of the jihadists. The militias have been terrorizing the region since at least 2017, attacking the town in 3 fronts. There are several reasons for the chaos in the region, as Jackie Celius of the South African Institute for Security Studies explained. The population tries to escape the terror and death of the militias. According to witnesses, bodies of murdered adults and children are visible in the streets of the village. A boat with 1,800 people who fled the terrorist attacks is already in the city of Pembo. On board were 200 expatriates of various nationalities, many working for the Total Oil Company, who have taken refuge in the Amarula Hotel in Palma since the armed attack on the town began. Mozambique has recently been living on the brink of humanitarian catastrophe with the massacre of populations, many people being beheaded, and mass exodus. There are at least 700,000 displaced people, most of them seeking refuge in camps near the city of Pemba. Still coming from around Africa, traffic resumes on Suez Canal as Ever Given is refloated. Traffic resumed on the Suez Canal waterway almost a week since a massive cargo ship blocked it, bringing an end to a crisis that for nearly a week clogged one of the world's most vital maritime arteries. The evergreen vessel has refloated and traffic is resumed, the Suez Canal Authority announced. Helped by the peak of high tide, a flotilla of tugboats managed to wrench the bubbles out of the skyscraper seized ever, and given the canal's sandy bank where it had been firmly lodged since last Tuesday. After hauling the fully laden 220,000-ton vessel over the canal bank, the salvage team was pulling the vessel towards the Great Bitter Lake, a wide stretch of water halfway between the north and south end of the canal, where the ship will undergo technical inspection, canal authorities have said. Satellite data confirmed that the ship was moving away from the shoreline towards the center of the artery. And the obstruction has created a massive traffic jam in the vital passage, holding up $9 billion each day in global trade and straining supply chains already burdened by the coronavirus pandemic. The vessel blocked about 10% of it internationally. The vessel blocked about 10% of international maritime trade and cost Egypt some $12 to $14 million in revenue each day. We'll go on a short break. We'll come back. We'll bring you updates from the United Kingdom.
Love of God bestowed on mankind. The ultimate sacrifice was paid, crucified for our emancipation. Easter Miracle Service with Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman.
All right, come and take it. Don't fear. Come and take it.
Date 2nd through 4th April 2021, 2nd and 3rd April 12 noon prompt, Sunday 4th April 6:30 GMT +1 at the International Worship Center, Omega Farm Ministries, Kilometer 132, Benina Kenya Abuja Expressway, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. For inquiries call +234 806 464 6180. Easter Miracle Service, your redemption is final.
You're welcome back and thanks for joining us once more. Updates from the United Kingdom. World leaders calls for international pandemic treaty. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has joined more than 20 world leaders in calling for a new global settlement to help the world prepare for future pandemics. In an article for newspaper around the world, leaders including President Macron of France and German Chancellor Angela Merkel say COVID has posed the biggest challenge since World War II. Another pandemic or health crisis is a matter of not if, but when, they say, and the pandemic has shown that nobody is safe until anyone is safe. The signatories, who include the head of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, says at that time, following the devastation of two world wars, political leaders came together to forge the multilateral system. The leader says that in the same spirit, countries must now be better prepared to predict, prevent, detect, assess and effectively respond to pandemics in a highly coordinated fashion. A new treaty would help to establish better systems for alerting people about potential pandemics, they say, while also improving the sharing of data and distribution of vaccines and personal protective equipment. More updates from China. Hong Kong. China passes Patriot electoral reforms. China passes sweeping changes to Hong Kong's electoral rules, which will tighten its control over the city. The number of directly elected seats in parliament has been cut almost by half, and prospective member of parliament will first be vetted by a pro-Beijing committee to ensure their loyalty to the mainland. The aim is to ensure only patriotic figures can run for positions of power. Critics warn it will mean the end of democracy as it removes our opposition from the city parliament. Beijing's rubber-stamp parliament first approved a plan during the National People's Congress meeting earlier in March. All opposition to the Chinese Communist Party has effectively been obliterated from formal politics in Hong Kong. When these changes were announced a few weeks ago, they drew criticism internationally. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken described the moves as an assault in democracy. Quickly, we'll go straight to business news. Lagos accounts for 12.15% as state debt hits 4.2 trillion naira. The total states and federal capital territory domestic debt profile hits 4.2 trillion naira, with Lagos State accounting for 12.15% of the debt stock as of the end of 2020. According to the post by the National Bureau of Statistics in its reports on Nigerian domestic and foreign debts, Jigawa State had the least debt stock in this category, with a contribution of 0.74%. Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, and Anambra had 89.12 billion, which is 2.13%, 98.9 billion naira, which is 2.36%, 230.8 billion, and 59.97 billion. While Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, and Borno had 102.8 billion, 144.13 billion, 126.12 billion, and 89.05 billion respectively. Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, and had 163.16 billion, 248.45 billion, 44.21 billion, and 80.78 billion, while Ekiti, Enugu, Gombe, Imo, and Jigawa had 84.97 billion naira, 68.08 billion, 84.72 trillion naira, 150.2 billion naira, and 30.97 billion naira respectively. According to the reports, Nigerian states and federal debt stock data as of December 31st, 2020 reflected that the country's total public debt portfolio stood at 32.92 trillion naira. And still on business news, again, Senate summons Emefiele, alleges Federation account $9.5 million missing. The Senate Public Accounts Committee has given the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, up till Thursday to appear before it over an alleged disappearance of $9.5 million interest which accrued to the Federation account from petroleum profit tax investment. The SPAC, which is currently scrutinizing the reports of the AUGF, alleged during its sitting that the principal sums deposited, the tenor and rates of interest were shrouded in secrecy. The petroleum profit tax is applicable to upstream operations in the oil industry. It is particularly related to rents, royalties, margins, and profit sharing elements associated with oil mining, prospecting, and exploration leases. The chairman of the Senate panel, Senator Matthew Urogide, said the Central Bank of Nigeria governor was being invited to corroborate some figures in the statements of account. He said the Central Bank of Nigeria governor had till Thursday this week to appear to address those issues before the committee. Committee has a penultimate week summoned the officials of the Apex Bank over alleged disappearance of the fund. No management staff of the Apex Bank honored the lawmakers' invitation. The summon was sequel to the consideration of the AUGF report, which probed the spendings of federal government's agencies. We'll go on a very short break. We'll come back. We'll bring you news from the sporting world. Please don't go anywhere.
love of God bestowed on mankind, the ultimate sacrifice was paid, crucified for our emancipation. Easter Miracle Service with Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman.
Touch, challenge God. I decree that you are free. Faster, 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 faster.
Date 2nd through 4th April 2021, 2nd and 3rd April 12 noon prompt, Sunday 4th April 6:30 GMT+1 at the International Worship Center, Omega Farm Ministries, Kilometer 132, Benina Kenya Bojo Expressway, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. For inquiries call +234 806 464 6180. Easter Miracle Service, your redemption is final.
Welcome back and thanks for joining us on Sports News. Francis Ngannou becomes first African-born UFC heavyweight champion. Cameroon's Francis Ngannou showcased his devastating punch power as he knocked out Steve Moisic in the second round to capture the undisputed UFC heavyweight title in Las Vegas at UFC 260. The bout was a rematch of their 2018 meeting at UFC 2020, that's 220, where American Moisic dominated. Ngannou over 5 rounds for a landslide unanimous decision victory in Boston. Ngannou showed the improvement made since their first meeting as he exhibited composure and patience before eventually knocking out Moisic with a short left hook 52 seconds into round 2 to defeat the man widely considered to be the greatest heavyweight champion in UFC history. The win also marked the completion of a lifelong quest for Ngannou, who left Cameroon as a refugee and lived on the streets of Paris before eventually finding a gym with hopes of becoming a champion boxer. He was convinced by former coach Fernand Lopez to switch focus to mixed martial arts and eventually end his chance in the UFC, where his thunderous punch power marked him out as a dangerous contender. After these strict stoppage victories, his first title shot against Moisic in 2018 fell short as he relatively lack of MMA experience against him, but in the rematch, Ngannou came of age as he flattened Miocic to become only the third African-born champion in UFC history, joining welterweight champion Kamaru Usman, who was in Ngannou's corner on fight night, and middleweight champion Israel Adesanya. After his victory, Ngannou said he was willing to face the man considered by many to be the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport, John Jones, who is expected to move up to heavyweight to challenge for the title later this year. In another sports news quickly, Ministry considering Abuja to replace Edo as festival host. As part of his determination to ensure the National Sports Festival holds, the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development has swung into action to use Abuja as an alternative venue for the 20th edition of the National Sports Festival, should the need arise. The festival, which has suffered several postponements due to COVID-19 and paucity of funds, is scheduled to hold in Benin City, the Edo State capital, from April 2nd through 14th. Edo State had complained of lack of funds in hosting the festival, with the Sports Ministry writing the federal government to assist with funds to host the event. Checks confirmed that the ministry has started sourcing for camping venues to host athletes from participating states, while the sports festival will hold at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. Athletes were originally built to arrive camp in Benin City, Edo State, on April 2nd, while the opening ceremony was scheduled for April 6th. According to the ministry official, the Edo State government indicated its desire to back out of hosting the games at the last moment unless the federal government provided the financial support to offset the cost of previous postponements of the sport fiesta. However, the chief press secretary to Edo State Deputy Governor Musa Bomia said the state was willing to host the event and was expectant of funds from the federal government. That has brought us to the end of the news on Celebration Television News Desk. In case you missed out, here's the news headline recap. Buhari leaves for London medical holiday today as doctors set for strike. ISIS claims control on Palma, says Mozambique. World leaders call for international pandemic treaty. Lagos accounts for 12.15% as state's debt hit 4.2 trillion naira. Francis Ngannou becomes first African-born UFC heavyweight champion. Quickly, we have photo of the day that simply says sometimes the mind goes further than what the natural eyes can see. Drop your comment on our social media platform on Facebook, Celebration TV, Instagram, My Celebration TV, Twitter, @MyCelebrationTV, YouTube, Celebration TV. Always remember that your positive contribution to the wellness of a society, find yourself or the organization you work, defines your leadership might. As an individual who works, who knows what to do and do without expecting to be pushed, has bagged his ways to success. Be it known today that everything we do, think, feel, and believe either has a positive or negative effect on humanity and our national well-being. Be a part of nation building today. Thank you for staying with us on our news desk. I remain Nicholas Akosile Walter. Bye for now. To 15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosun.